WAEC practical is closed. If you don't understand this one titration calculation, you can lose up to 5 easy marks in WAEC Chemistry. Let me fix that in under 5 minutes. Let's get started. The question states that a student titrated a solution of HCl with sodium hydroxide, and we're giving some supporting information like the average volume of acid used was 29.5 centimeter cube. The mass concentration of sodium hydroxide is 4.8 gram per dm cube. Then the volume of the sodium hydroxide used during the titration as 25 centimeter cube. We're supported with the equation of reaction, and to use all this information to answer the questions below. So for the first one, calculate the molar concentration of the sodium hydroxide solution. So in the question itself, we've been given the mass concentration. So all we have to do is to look for an expression that converts our molar concentration, which is represented as mole per dm cube, to our mass concentration, which is expressed as gram per dm cube, and the expression ends with over the molar mass of the compound. So this expression helps us to convert our mass concentration that we've been given here to the molar concentration required in the question. So from the question, we can tell that the mass concentration is 4.8, and we're given the molar mass of sodium hydroxide as 40. So we're also going to substitute 40. So division gives us 0.12 now to be in mole per dm cube. So this is a very good way of converting our molar concentration into mass concentration, and also vice versa when necessary. Now for the second question, we were asked to determine the molar concentration of the hydrogen chloride solution. So going back to the question, the only information we have about the acid is the average volume of acid used, which was given as 29.5 centimeter cube, and that is all we have to go on. In a situation like this, where you have little information of one of the components of the titration process itself, your best bet is to always resort to the titration formula itself to answer the question. The titration formula is given as Ca, which is the concentration of the acid, times Va is the volume of the acid used, Cb is the concentration of the base, times Vb, volume of base used, over number of moles of acid as used in the equation, over number of moles of base as used in the equation. So anytime you have little information to go on about one of the components of your titration process, and always resort to the titration formula to help you find the missing piece or whatever the question wants. And in this case, asking us for molar concentration of the HCl. So what we have, what it's asking us to find is Ca, which we don't know. Then the volume of acid used was given as 29.5. The concentration of base, we just calculated it, 0.12, 0.12, and the volume of base is the same as the volume of the pipette used in the question, which was given as 25, which is volume of base. So, and in the equation, number of moles of acid is 1, number of moles of base as used in the equation is also 1. So in this case, it will be 1 over 1. So of course, when we cross multiply, make CA subject of the formula, we'll be left with CA equals 0.12 times 25 divided by 29.5. So we'll end up with be 3 divided by 29.5, which is equal to, so our CA, which is concentration of the acid in mole per dm cube, with 0.10 mole per dm cube. It is important to note that the concentration in the titration formula itself, is in mole per dm cube. It's molar concentration, not mass. These are some of the areas where students mix things up during exams. The concentration in the formula, in the titration formula, is expressed as mole per dm cube. For the third question, calculate the number of moles of acid used during titration. Calculate the number of moles of acid used during titration. Of course, to answer questions like this, you need an expression that can help you calculate mole, and the mole formula would involve using concentration. The best one would be N, which is number of moles, equals to concentration times volume of the acid used over 1000. The essence of the 1000 is to convert the centimeter cube from the volume of the acid to dm cube. That is the essence of the 1000 in the formula. So, which is one of the ways students lose marks during this type of calculations, when you forget to include the 1000. So let's substitute. Concentration of the acid itself, as we've calculated, is what? 0.10 times the volume of the acid used, as seen in the question, is 29.5. So let's go back, substitute it, divided by 1000. Remember, the essence of the 1000 in the expression is to convert our centimeter cube to dm cube. So at the end of the day, our mole will be 3.01 times 10 power minus 3 mole. So these are some of the common expressions can be used to answer titration questions during our practical exams. For the last one, we've done something similar earlier. You can attempt it by using this expression here and putting the answer in the comment section. So express the concentration of HCl solution in gram per dm cube. So you'll be using the concentration of HCl, the molar concentration of HCl, you are trying to get the mass concentration, you can take the molar mass of your hydrochloric acid, take the molar mass as 36.5, 36.5 gram per mole. You can take it as that, 36.5. Then attempt it and put your answer in the comment section.